Hello, welcome to the Small Gamer. I'm your host Rob. Welcome to Hammertime 6, round 2, with Dan I'm kind of supervising him, but Dan semi-supervised.
Yeah, g'day, beautiful people. How are we doing?
Great, how are you?
Oh, I'm so good. It has been so long since I've gotten that taste of hobby gamey goodness, and this is literally feeding my soul. It's early in the morning. I barely slept last night. I was literally so excited for this.
See,
So I'm keen.
I mean, it's very exciting because me and Dan have commentated in two different countries together, and now we're commentating from two different countries together. So we've commentated in England, we've commentated in Australia, and now we're commentating from the comfort of our own stand-up desks. Is what
Oh,
we're
this
doing.
is it's beautiful. It's different. It's and you know what I'm is really awesome as well.
Yeah.
This is different is that you and I can do this while being able to see the board in its entirety, like live, as opposed to through a camera and things like that. It's crazy. It's a brave new world.
Brave New World. Well, we're going to mix it up. We're not going to be. We're going to be quick. We're going to be super quick. With the. We're not going to fluff on too much in the intro because the game's underway already. We want to jump through it. So you've got a Stormcast list versus an Ogre Moor Tribes list, and I think this is a really interesting play. So there's some kind of shootcast in here, but with some of the still new Marathi stuff. However, the Ogre Moor Tribes list is very, very exciting. Because it's run by Stuart, who's done really well at these TTS events, and I think it's really nice opportunity to showcase a very strong ogre list, which is very different to what you normally see. So just really quickly firing through Daniel's list, he's got Storm Host, Anvils of Held and Hammer. The important point there is the command ability that's going to allow his unit of 9 Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows, which is a 510-point unit, to shoot in the hero phase as well as shoot in the shooting phase. They're backed up by 2 units of Ether Wings, which will be able to counter-charge to make sure units can't charge them, keep them safe. They've got a wall of 30 Liberators and 2 units of 10 Liberators to keep them safe as a kind of screen. Then you've got an Azeros, who's going to give reroll 1s to hit. You've got a Castellan, who's going to make sure people are far more tanky. You've got a Celestant, who's the general. And you've got Lord Relictor. All of those guys, Lord Relictor is going to teleport those guys around the board as well. All of those are kept in the Wardens of the Stormkeep battalion, which means they're going to generate an extra CP, and then they're also going to get some CP. First battle round, they can all generate some extra CP. I'll just fly through the next one as well. Stuart's got a Winter Tribe list. And that Winter Tribe list has got a Frostlord and Stonehorn, a Tyrant, that's it, 2 times 8 Iron Guts, another unit of 4 Iron Guts, 2 units of 20 Noblars, and the Iron Guts are in the Tyrant Guard. Dan, you a big fan of this?
Love it. It's odd. I won't lie. It's a very odd More Tribes list. As a big More Tribes fan, Winterbite you very rarely see unless it's stacked full of Yetis and Saber Tusks, but none of those in here. It also doesn't have a butcher, doesn't have a baker, doesn't have a candlestick maker. It's all about the Iron Guts and the Noblars here, and I'm excited to see how this list does. It's very, very non-standard, very unusual. Tyrant's Gut Guard as well are all about increasing the durability of that Tyrant. My guess is that it's here just to lower drops with the amount of Iron Gut units on the table. I love to see Noblars and a Tyrant. It's personally the play that I put out there as well, because for 1 command point, you do D3 mortal wounds to your unit of Noblars, and they are immune to battle shock for the rest of the game. I put it on a unit of 60 and then just look my opponent in the eye and be like, you have to spend however long it takes to do 60 wounds to this unit. They're not running. These Noblars are terrified of me more than you. But I'm super excited to see where this game goes. I also am very, very excited now that we're not seeing ethereal amulets on Stonehorns anymore, because that was just a hearty dose of shut up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we're now live in the game here, and I'm going to run through what we've seen deployed on the board. As you can see, that big block of 30 Liberators in the center, blocked up by all those characters. Those Vanguard Raptors hidden at the back there. They're near the Azeros as well for the rerolls. Those 2 units of 10 Libs, and then the Aether Wings deployed on the board, with a Castellan over on the far right-hand side. We're going to talk about the battle plan in a minute. The Frostlord on Stonehorn, as you can see, he's in the center. Now that thing is
anchoring that line.
Yeah, Metal Cruncher, so he's doing D6 mortal wounds. It's pretty horrific. These Iron Guts, they are terrifying. Damage 3 weapons. They are faster than you would think, because obviously don't forget they're going to move 3 inches, an additional 3 inches at the start, because they're outside of charge range. So they're really, really strong. that Tyrant there as well. However, normally I would say this feels like a pretty good matchup for the Stormcast. They've got the ability to hold off some of those outputty units and do some shooting early on. However, we're playing shifting objectives, Dan. One of your favourite battle plans.
I'm a big fan. And let's also not forget that Winterbite, when they're wholly within their deployment zone, are at -1 to hit from missile weapons, which is going to that's gonna play in pretty key against those lovely shooters. But yeah, I'm a big fan of shifting objectives. I know not everybody is. However, I do like this one. I like that the objectives, you know where they are, you play for them, and if you play smart, you can quite comfortably walk away with the win. But I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah. So one of the things we're into the first movement phase now. We'll just quickly talk about this. Dan, scoring for this. There's 2 primary. They're worth 1 each, right? And at the start,
3 objectives, and then 1 is the primary.
One is the primary. 2 are the secondary, and then you roll before the first battle round to see which one's the primary. Is that correct?
And then it changes at the top of each new battle round.
Perfect. So we're going to find out in a moment from our table boss, who is John Scrivens today. Well done, John.
Ooh.
Yeah, we will find out what that is going to be. Okay. They should. We're going into Stormcast Eternals first turn, Dan. Stormcast Eternals got the choice. Now, the reason I said that we did a rundown show on all of the battle plans recently on the Monday show. One of the things that I said I wasn't a big fan, Dan, wasn't a big fan of the shifting objectives because it really does feel like a scrum in the middle. There's no messing about. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to deep strike behind anyone. It becomes a big mess up, really. How do you feel it's going to change? And the middle objective is the primary objective here. So this is worth 3 points, and the others are only worth 1 point each. What do you think?
I think it can have the tendency to become that when the middle is back to back the primary objective. But the advice that I would always give people playing this particular match, this particular battle plan, and I've both received and given this advice, and when you pay attention to it, it isn't a terrible advice, but I regularly forget my own advice and then bugger it up in tournaments. Is that I would always play for 2. I'd play to control 2 objectives and then bugger off the other one. And the odds say, unless you are very, very unlucky, that you should take the win on that in that regard. So we'll see. We'll see how we go here. If I was Stormcast right now, I would be focusing my line on just holding those 2 and trying to delay on that top one. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, the thing is, the speed that these ogres are going to have, the rend that they're going to have, and the pace that they're going to be able to put out is going to be impressive.
Very impressive. Can I just say also, personal note just for me, getting to commentate on a game of Warhammer with Dan again is a particular highlight of my life. Very happy you're here, Dan. Very, very excited. You're a fucking legend, and talking Warhammer with you is great.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. So I'm pretty certain. Let's just double check the battle plan, Dan. If you fancy doing that while I talk about, have you got it to hand very quickly?
Yes.
It's just because I do think that battle line actually score you bonus points in this situation, which is going to be an advantage for both armies because both the Iron Guts and obviously the Liberators are battle line in this situation here. Now, that 30 block, we need to know if they've got +1 save put on top of them here. So the Castellan, who was there, he's put +1 save onto these Liberators here. And I'm pretty certain, our table boss can triple check to make sure they're a Stormkeep, which means they're on a 3-up save this turn, but if they don't move next turn, they will be on a 2-up save, potentially, because of Stormkeeps with +1 to hit. Now the Raptors are moving, so they don't have they're not going to get +1 to hit or +1 save. It's a very expensive unit that is very fragile. Again, 510 points, 2 wounds each. There's 9 of them. It's 18 wounds, but they're super fragile, and it's those Aether Wings that normally keep them safe. They're normally kept in a kind of line in front of them that they countercharge anything that might come near them, is the general consensus.
They're a couple of sacrificial Lamingtons just to throw in the way and let them be chomped up. And just to confirm as well, yes, 2 for the primary objective, 1 for the secondary objectives, and any objective controlled by battle line is an additional point. So this is going to be a big scoring turn 1 for our wonderful friends, the Stormcast. However, the question is going to be with the punch and the output of the more tribes afterwards, what it's going to look like. Because I think if I was playing the more tribes right now, I'd be wanting to do a lot of damage turn 1 before those liberators have a chance to be on a 2-up save.
So one of the things about like the shooting, it depends on which army you're playing against. Like if you're playing against KO, because everything shoots, or if you're playing in the 1-drop shoot cast, which we've seen before. So previously to the game, previous to the game that we saw like just last, until the new Marathi book, this unit here, these Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows, were the Stormcast Eternals book. Like that was it. Like there was nothing else. It was like which shoot cast are you doing, not are you doing shootcast in competitive Age of Sigmar anyway? Like, and by competitive Age of Sigmar, I mean lists that were doing well specifically. So now with the Wardens of the Stormkeep, which lets you generate extra CP, so that you can shoot. That you can generate extra CP at the start, which didn't go very well for Daniel. So you get one. You get to roll a dice for each one that's in your army. On a 5-up, you get a CP. Each hero that's in the battalion. However, it's on a 2-up on your general, but he only managed to generate an extra 1. And has he used a CP yet? We'll find to shoot in the shooting phase. I don't think he did because he wasn't close enough. Am I right? Pretty certain that's right, Table Boss. You'll let us know.
Yeah, I think there was an attempt at a translocation that might not have gone off, and that may be why we didn't see that.
Okay, we'll double check this though. There is a CP being spent. There we go. You guys need to. Okay. So the unit of liberators on one of the sides they spent a CP to run auto 6 to get them on the objective. So it's going to be each battle line unit is going to generate a point here. So that's 3 VP, and then the unit in the middle, Dan, is also going to generate an extra 1.
So that'll be worth 2.
So
and the bottom one will be worth 10.
7-point turn. That's wild. Yeah.
However, looking at it right now, I'm just going to say that the liberators down the bottom with the Lord Castellan, Celestant rather, that are staring down the barrel of 8 Iron Guts. They're in for a bad time. They're going to possibly be turned into they'll be beaten. You know when you drop a tin can in a shopping center and it's all dented and you're like, I can only imagine the horrors that are being done on the gruel that's inside. That's what the Stormcast on the inside of their armor is going to become when those Iron Guts get a hold of them. And then the Noblars following up behind are going to pee all over their corpses. So that's a bad place to be if you're a Liberator.
They are very strong, those Iron Guts, when they do hit. 3 attacks each. So that unit of 8 is 24 attacks. Hit on 3s, wound on 3s. Rend 1, but it's going to be 3 flat damage. Yeah, so they're just going to mulch through stuff if they get the opportunity to go in. So that's the 2 big bricks of 8. And then, they do some mortal wounds when they get in close as well. So is that the end of turn 1 for Stormcast? Whew, I tell you what, blistering pace.
Well, they would have been at... Why would they do that? They would have been at -2 to hit them.
Yeah.
It would have been -1 for Winterbite, minus... okay. Well, apparently it was the only thing in range, so then they had to shoot at those ogres down there and did nothing. That was the Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows. They shot into the Iron Guts, right, Dan? Yeah, the Vanguard Raptors, for some... They, with their major sniper goodness, fired into the Iron Guts, hiding in the woods. They're of course at -2, and they did sweet Betty Dingus nothing.
It did nothing.
That's what we love to see, because now there's some hungry, angry, meaty boys. And the important question that I want to know as well, the artifact you have to take with this army is one that you roll at the start of every battle round. and on a 5-up, and it's cumulative, you increase the damage of that weapon by 1. This is on, let me just check who's going to be holding it. This is on the Tyrant. So I'll be interested to know if the Tyrant is going up to potentially, I guess you could be like a damage 8 weapon, which would be very impressive. And as we can see right now, going out on the Frostlord on Stonehorn are all kinds of hate.
Yeah.
Reroll ones to save, reroll any hit rolls, reroll any wound
well, so
rolls.
that's the Alvagar rune tokens he's just activated.
Yeah.
So that's what's just done here. That's once per battle. And unfortunately, so the reroll saves is on the whole model, so it's a 3-up rerollable Stonehorn right now until his next hero phase. But unfortunately, the rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound only actually affect the rider. Now, that's not to be... listen, the last thing I'd ever do is cuss out a Frostlord. Yeah? I'm not that brave. Yeah? I'm not brave enough to do that. However, he is a smasher, and he will absolutely... take some names, so he's going to be good. But it's these Aetherwings he's hoping to countercharge with, basically, and block up the Iron Guts. But thankfully, they're only going to block up against some Liberators who aren't going to do the work. It's interesting that Daniel decided to take the first turn, because I wouldn't have minded the Ogres running into the front line and just shooting at them turn 1, personally. Don't know about you, Dan, what do you think?
I think it may have been just that realization that could go up a full table's worth of scoring and maybe got drawn into that. My worry with those Aetherwings, especially in the center there, is that the unit of Grots on the right hand side of the board for the destruction player could easily move up and charge and tag the Aetherwing. And then they're useless as tits on a ball when it comes to trying to stop up that Frostlord on Stonehorn. So I think that that center unit of Aetherwings may have advanced a little bit too aggressively to properly block out the Frostlord, but we'll see. We'll see which way it goes, I guess.
So there's the Iron Guts now. And do you know what? They don't mind being countercharged where they are, because even if they get countercharged flat, let's talk about some tactics a little bit here. So if you charge flat against here, which is what you'll have to do, they'll be able to make some small pile-ins, little micro-incursion pile-ins, and see if they're able to do that. So, they'll be able to block up the Stonehorn, definitely, but they might not be able to block up all the Iron Guts. And if they don't, I tell you what, Dan, I really fancy the chances for these Iron Guts to just absolutely wallop some lads.
Well, and let's also remember that even if they're blocked up, all of those Iron Guts have the might makes right rule, which means that they're worth 2 models. So each of those little Stormcasts, despite them being like, oh, we've got all this armor and we have 2 wounds and look at how special I am because I'm a Liberator, they're all only worth 1. Doesn't matter how big your underpants are, but the Iron Guts they're currently sitting at what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 models down the bottom, so they can get tagged by those Aetherwings till the cows come home, and they're not going to worry about it.
Until now, I didn't know what a Stormcast voice was, and that is the perfect. The perfect.
Yeah, but look, and we've got Noblars coming on in, which is gonna. I just can't wait. So that it looks like that center objective is going to be stolen either by Noblars or Iron Guts, and I think either way is a wonderful outcome for everybody involved.
So should we talk about one of the terrifying units that's on the board real quick? Or we maybe could come back to it now. Okay, so yeah, one of the if you look, this unit of 510 points Vanguard hunters with long strike crossbows, those guys are terrifying, and I'll tell you why. A shot each, hitting on 2s, and obviously that means that you can stick reroll 1s on them, or you could use the 0s for reroll 1s. Wound on 3s, then they're rend 2 and they're damage 2. Any 6s to hit as a mortal wound. Now that is only 9 shots, potentially doing 18 damage total. However, Anvils of Heldenhammer shoot again, yeah? And you think, okay, limited range, 24 inches, Rob, no problem. If they don't move, it's going to be 30 inches. 30 inches. And it just becomes scary and scarier. But it's whether or not shooting units pretty much have to survive the whole game to do that damage over time. But we'll see. Listen, there's the rest of the event is happening right now, Dan. There's all sorts. There's Lumineth lists, there's Seraphon lists doing well. There's all manner of goodness. Idoneth Deepkin, Tzeentch, there's a really fun Host Arcanum list as well, which we didn't get to see right now. So there's a big. There's loads to talk about, and Owen, who is wandering around the tournament virtually, yes, is going to let us know what's happening right now. Owen, nice to see you. What's happening?
Cheers, thank you very much. Yeah, this is the first time I can wander around a tournament and be in my pants at the same time, so I'm loving life right now. I've had a little look across. There's so much going on. I think behind the scenes, the whole thing about the swan floating along the river or the pond, and then the legs and everything are going mental underneath. I think that's the perfect analogy for what Rob and Dan and John and Nathan and I are trying to pull off today. So there's a lot going on. So I've had a little cheeky look. Obviously, people can see the draw on Tabletop TO. But yeah, across the top tables, all of the people I'm going to talk about obviously won their first round match, so they're looking to get a second win and hopefully get on the podium. So in terms of matchups, there's some interesting ones. We've got the Thricefold Battalion Nurgle army, so that's the one with Be'lakor and the triple great and clean one. That's facing off against Daughters of Cain Marathi in Hagnar. Daniil with Despoilers with Kairos is going to have a magical battle against Teclis. There's a Lumineth list that Jorge is running there. You've obviously got the Guts versus the Tin Cans on the stream. So next table down, we're looking at Noah. That's G1 Noah Singh with Dracothian's Tail Seraphon, facing off against Zinch Archeon. I thought we might dip in there and have a little look once I get to the end of this list. A couple of unpopular armies at the moment. So Iron Jaws, Iron Sons versus Legion of Night. So we're going to definitely have an unfancied faction on 2-0 at the end of this, unless they get a draw, obviously. Lots of Archeons up here. So we've got, this is Victor's Slaves to Darkness. Archeon is facing off against Mathieu's Skaven. Philip, fresh from beating Colonel Cabbage, he's going to be facing off against Igneth Deepkin with his Teclis build. And then we've got the rest of them. We've got Ridge Hanna, who I believe is affiliated with the guys at Season of War. I'm pretty sure the Canadian channel. So yeah, he's brought a Seraphon Fangs list, and he's facing Archeon Zinch, run by Stephen Follow. So Stephen's gone from being shot at by goats to being shot at by lizards. So I'm sure that he's absolutely loving life at the moment.
Good times for them.
And then another Seraphon. We've got Seraphon 120 Skinks that Vito Roppo's brought. He's facing off against Paul is Right's Idneth. So he may have 120 Skinks, which is 240 shots. But they're all going to just have to shoot at like one Ishleyan guard or something, which makes me happy. Outside of that, Antu, fresh from the stream, he's facing an Idoneth list run by Darren Quirk. And then, Marin King, let me check here. He's one of the two players bringing the Shadowhammer Compact Daughters list. He's drawn Michael Thompson, who normally... that's a Stormcast Hammers of Sigmar. More of a traditional one with all the Secretors, I think. And then rounding it out, Mark Brooks, King of TTS, as I call him. He's fresh from shooting at big Gargants, and now he's got to shoot at skeletons that keep coming back. So he's got Inferno playing OBR. That's a... Catacross with the catapults in Mortis Praetorians. And then finally, Benjamin with the second Shadowhammer Compact Daughters list. He's facing off against Pietari with, that's the double Eidolon. Not double Eidolon, double Leviathan. So he proves that two Leviathans are better than one, because Pete beat Matt Goldsborough, who only brought one Leviathan. So and I think he's been saying it's the most fun he's had in Warhammer for ages, just driving around with two monster truck turtles blowing things up. So that's pretty much it. I thought, let's see if we can get this to work again, and we're going to dip in. Yeah, of course we can. We can have a look at that later. I'm very good at rambling, so my ramble time is over. Back to the boys in their respective booths, and see you soon.
Thank you. Hello, welcome back to the game. If you've just joined us, me and Dan. Hi, Dan.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, we're in round 2 of Hammertime 6, which is an online tabletop simulator event for Age of Sigmar. We've got a Stormcast Eternals army, which have already had their first turn, playing Shifting's objective here. All the lists you can see in the chat if you type !list. And into Ogre More Tribes turn 1. We've seen a lot happen. All of the Iron Guts on the left and the right have moved up. And as you can see, the unit of Noblars with a unit of Iron Guts have moved up as well. Now, the Grots, or the Noblars as you know them, they actually carry around with them rubbish and trash which they throw. But it turns out throwing rubbish and trash at some Aetherwings, which were in the centre here, did very little. However, a bit of mismeasurement there by Daniel. The unit of Aetherwings in the middle weren't able to countercharge because you're able to move 2d6 if you start. The Aetherwings can move 2d6 if you start within 18 inches of the Vanguard Raptor unit, which they did do. But then you have to then end within 18 inches as well. So he wasn't able to countercharge at all, which meant that Stonehorn was able to charge. Charge, did impact hits, killed the unit. So then when he killed the unit, he was able to pile in, and now you can see him attacking that Liberator unit. So he's right there on the objective. Now, he's not going to kill that unit now, and he's very susceptible to that unit of Vanguard Raptors. But the game is flowing very fast compared to the last game. Dan, what are your thoughts?
Interesting. I'm surprised that we didn't see potentially the Iron Guts anywhere go in. I mean, down the bottom, on the bottom left there, obviously they would have loved to, but they got tagged by the Aetherwings that were in range to do that countercharge. However, I'm surprised that we didn't see, but maybe they failed the charge on the other side of the board. On the right hand side of the Iron Guts player, right hand side as you're looking at it. I'm surprised we didn't see them go in because they would have absolutely punished those Stormcast. However, it may also be showing some tactics, playing the long game, and realizing that at the moment he outscores on. Actually doesn't outscore on that middle objective. That's interesting. There's
a question in the chat. Yeah, of course, because the Stonehorn is worth 10 bodies, so 10 wounds basically. And he outscore on the objective? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, he does.
But once these Stormcast pile in, that's going to be the question.
That is the question. So there's a question from Zyde in the chat, which I'd like to answer, which is a nice little bit of micromanagement. So if you've charged that turn, so not if you are engaged with combat, if you've charged, so let's say I had the unit of Iron Guts and the unit of and the Stonehorn, just to make it easy for you. Let's say I charged both into a unit, the Iron Guts wiped out a unit, I would still be allowed, and let's say there was no unit in front of the Stonehorn would still be allowed to pile in 3 inches. So if you charge, you can still pile in, even if the thing that you charged is dead. So when you've charged, you do impact hits, like the Stonehorn does, and you kill the Aetherwings, which happens in the movement phase. You're then, in the combat phase, able to pile in an attack. Like, it's a really nice themey thing. I like that idea, Dan. You know, the thing goes in, hits something, and then can kind of progress. It's not like you would see with a Maw Crusher where they actually can do mortal wounds and keep charging. It just kills something and then carries on. So go on.
Go ahead. Oh, it's also nice that it means that you can say you charge something and then can tactically eliminate it in another way. You pile in and continue on. It makes sense because the rule for Zaidi is you can pile in up to 3 inches if you were within 3 inches of an enemy unit or if you made a charge in that phase. So that's why they can still do it. And just for those playing at home,
you can't pile in if you can't pile in if you hadn't made a charge and there's nothing within 3.
Yes,
even if there was previously. So that's a really fun thing you can do. Let's say I was once in combat, or I'm in combat with something, then someone kills one end of a unit. I can take that. I can take the other end away, and then that unit can't pile in as long as he didn't charge.
It looks like down the bottom, just doing a quick count, Stonehorn's worth 10. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Grots and 2 Iron Guts who will be able to score. So that's what, 10, 14, 19 scoring bodies for the Ogres. So they probably will have enough to control that middle objective, provided the Stonehorn doesn't, like some horror show badness doesn't happen to it and it goes down like a sack of potatoes now.
I don't think he will. I mean, he's only got there's +1 save on that unit as well. We're waiting to see how that activation works as well. Now, the Tyrant and the Iron Guts should smash these Aether Wings off.
Can we be certain, though? Every now and then a bird will turn around and peck your eyes out. But if that Tyrant by itself, or the one Iron Gut just from with a lusty twinkle in its eye doesn't take those Aether Wings out, I'll be horrified.
Yeah, see, this an interesting battle plan, really shifting objectives, because I do think it's really on the nose. Because even if you look at the deployment maps, and they're still there on the board, as you can see, you are funneled into the middle. Sorry, it's John again. You are just funneled into the center of the board, and you just go straight in a line. And that's why it's not one of my preferred battle plans, if I'm honest with you, Dan. However, like, it looks like there's a significant advantage here to Mitch, who's playing with these Ogre Moor Tribes. Now, one of the reasons people ask, like, how come we're showing this Moor Tribes list, and I know it's some Stormcast again, but this list has been doing really quite well at 1 day and 2 day events. Mitch has been running this kind of Winterbite Iron Guts list for a while and doing phenomenal work with it. So I thought we'd see how he played and how it played. And it's just really good, right?
It's honestly, I think when I first saw it, I was like, Winterbite, okay, not massively common. Ooh, priority roll coming in.
Okay, yeah. So we got the priority roll coming in. Stormcast got a 3, the Ogre's got a 2, and the Stormcast are taking it. Those Vanguard Raptors are now going to unload. And I think the interesting thing is we probably... so they're back up to 4 CP. I'll change that in a minute. They're going to shoot in the shooting phase, and there's zero way, in my opinion, that isn't probably going into one of the units of Iron Guts. I could see why you would want to take out the Frostlord on Stonehorn, but I think you can still tank it enough with the Liberators. So you just keep tanking, and you take out the other units. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, and that's going to be the question. It would be very tempting to pop out that Stonehorn, to try and get the mortal wounds through and whatnot, but I think it would. The other one as well, the Iron Guts are a bigger threat. The Noblars, and I don't mean to say that they are the key thing or anything in that matter, but that's 2 units of 20 scoring bodies that can just comfortably stand on the back of an objective behind the fight and make sure that the Stormcast can't win it. So I'd also be inclined to try and put some libs into some Noblars just to knock off some scoring bodies nice and easy as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to play for here. The score already 7-7 max. These battle line units doing really well into the center, and being able to help to score. I mean, on the right hand flank, those Iron Guts are just they just won the as we're looking at it, the right hand flank, because those Liberators, as much as they hope to fight the Iron Guts, they're not doing it. These are some beefy boys. Yeah, they're gonna eat face.
Some chunksters.
There's some chunksters, but it is all about this middle now and controlling in the right. And I feel like if he puts the Vanguard Raptors into the Iron Guts on the left, he secures the left flank, and then it gives him opportunity to fight another day into the middle.
Well, the only thing though is that if he shoots at any of the units of Iron Guts, they're still in his territory, so they're still at -1 to hit. The only target he has that isn't at -1 to hit, due to that Winterbite sub-faction ability, is the Stonehorn. So it's a kind of a clever little play there that we've got from the Moor Tribes, which is, they're not well known for their cunning tactics, but every now and then you do see them, worshippers of Gork and Mork as they are, is that right now the only thing that you could target that you aren't at -1 to hit is the one thing that is the most durable. And that's well done. Well, okay, like golf claps, Moor Tribes, for offering the Stormcast laser snipers an opportunity to fail, which I'm excited for.
Right, so there's a couple of things happening. We've just seen Lightning Storm go into the Stonehorn, do another 3 mortal wounds. So he's down to 9 wounds now. That also makes him -1 to hit as well. And then we're now in the hero phase shooting from the Long Strike Raptors, which are shooting into, I'm just going to find out now, I assume
the ogres, I would guess.
Yes, there we go. So they are going into the Iron Guts. As I said, how many damage did they do is the real question. Oofed. 12 wounds into the Iron Guts there. Pretty decent, and that's just, as you can see, that unit half reduced now. That's just in the hero phase. So they do have 4 wounds each, and they do have a 4-up save. But 2 damage apiece, mortal wounds on 2s. There's some real opportunity there.
Mortal wounds on 6s, Ren 2.
Mortal wounds on 6s, sorry, yeah, Ren 2.
Can you imagine if there were snipers with mortal wounds on 2s? You'd be like, bugger this shoot cast. Nonsense.
You're not Lumineth, you don't deserve this.
Pointy elves.
So if that carries on, that would be a real strong play for that unit, for those Iron Guts going down on the left. That would take out a big portion of Mitch's army. He's still got the Tyrant General to go in and do some fighting, and there is that cheeky... I feel like the 4 Iron Guts in the middle have almost been forgotten about.
With their Noblar screen.
So the Liberators are now piling in to fight again. That command ability coming from... is this in the hero phase? Or is this in the hero phase? Coming from who? That's the real question.
But see, this for me is a little bit where I think the Iron Guts should have maybe, I don't think they had a command point to spare, but could have thrown in trying to go for a charge onto the Liberators, because at this point in time, it's going to be at least another turn until the more tribes can put any pressure on that Vanguard Raptor unit, which can effectively it currently has a bunker made out of the bodies of its friends. But had the priority roll gone the other way,
I mean, you were losing the Liberators on the left, the Liberators on the right, and then that chunky unit in the middle are just are reduced down massively. So the Anvils of Heldenhammer command ability is being used to pile in and attack with the Liberators as well. So that is fun. Okay, so it allows a unit within 9 inches of a hero or 18 inches of the general to either attack with all missile weapons in the unit has, or make a pile-in move and attack with all melee weapons they're carrying. A unit can only benefit from this ability once per phase. So that's why that big brick of 30 was in there as well. So he basically was lured in, and he's like, well, I'm going to shoot twice and fight twice. So that's a lot coming out of this unit, actually. And that Stonehorn might be in a tough spot.
Yeah, well, he's lost 5, was it? He's lost 5 all up at this point in time. And the other interesting thing I'm noticing is the placement. I'm noticing the placement of the Morpot. Now, I know that a lot of people don't necessarily go crazy on it, but using the Morpot's ability to heal D3 and then kill and then put back in, I wouldn't have put it so far down the back. I would have put it like a lot further up. So it's an interesting placement back there where it's having no effect, rather than where it could be used to, if you have a cunning hero phase, you can almost get it off 2 or 3 times in one phase, just healing yourself back up. So it's a bit of a lost opportunity, I think.
Agreed. And also, some of that piling in there isn't exactly perfect, because the piling in always should. And let me just reiterate how that works, and MJ Pegasus has pointed that out. So piling in doesn't work the way it's just been shown, where the units go here and they move forward. They always have to end up closer to the closest enemy model. That Stonehorn definitely the closest enemy model. So any of those units that were not moving towards him or didn't end up closer to him are going in the wrong direction. Just always something valuable to pay attention to, of course. We're not sure what the conversation the players are having, but that always has to be the case for you guys watching at home. So important point to note, if that makes sense. So those Grand Hammers wouldn't be there, or they would have to be closer than they previously were, if that makes sense. And now we're seeing,
instead of marching past the big angry thing, they're looking at the Noblars being like, hey, we probably got a better shot at smacking them. Which is unfair, because Noblars are beautiful special creatures that should be protected at all costs. The only thing that I see from that is that when those Liberators pile in the combat phase, I don't know if any of those Grand Hammers can pile in such a way as to get to the Noblars. So our beautiful Grot friends should be safe.
Yeah. I'm hoping for them, really. The Grot Revolutionary Force will pick up where the Ogres fail massively.
After the Ogres are all dead and the Stormcast have all gone back to the little storm clouds in the sky, the Grots come along and be like, we have inherited the Earth. So it'll be fine. It'll be good. Good old Noblars. Also, they still throw all kinds of bajingus at you when you charge them. And which is the primary objective for this phase as well? That'll be interesting to know too.
Yeah, we need to. 'Cause it won't still be the center.
Yeah.
So that's going to change up.
Looks like we're. Oh, it's the. Yeah.
There we go. So this one on the left, which is even more important that's where he's shooting. Important that's where he's shooting into now, on this left-hand side.
Strategic, very strategic.
Very strategic. Looking at those Stormcast here as well, now with that Anvils of the Heldenhammer command ability, again, those 2 command points sat on by the Stormcast does mean that they're going to get to pile and attack twice in the hero phase after. They'll be on 3. So it's nice seeing Anvils not being used on just the shooting, but also being used to buff those combat units to fight again, right? That's really useful.
Yeah, it's going to make it a bit of a force multiplier with a big unit of Liberators. I wasn't aware that Anvils could shoot or combat with it. That's a really strong ability for them to be able to push up the board out of being pinned in combat like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But as you can see, they I don't think, have they actually attacked in the hero phase yet, John, is the question. Because they're into movement now, so I don't assume they have attacked. Well, so he hasn't taken any extra wounds on the Stonehorn because he's got that re-rollable save on there. So even though they've spent that CP and they've piled in an attack, Dan, with those Liberators, they've done nothing. Very much like we saw in the last game, these mass Liberators, they can be buffed up and they can be very survivable. They remind me a lot of Chaos Warriors. You can make them very, very survivable, but they do absolutely nothing in combat.
The age-old saying goes, you can polish a turd, but you can't roll it in glitter, or whichever way it is that one. And,
all of that works.
And I would like to know as well, because obviously it's been no surprise to anybody on Twitter, especially those who keep tagging me in photos of Liberators. But I'm not a fan of Libs, especially not the new Stormkeepy business that's coming out. Well, if it makes you
feel any better, they lost the last game, so that was fun.
Thank goodness. How many Liberators died? Because the only good thing about a 60 Liberator list is hopefully seeing 60 dead Liberators.
Or as many dead Liberators as we can possibly manage, I think, is the right decision.
Good. A cornucopia of lightning bolts being reforged and forgetting their childhood. Beautiful.
All we need.
Okay, so we got...
go on, Dan. We're into the shooting phase now, right? Got
a good bit of shooting. The Vanguard Raptors, we've got 2 going into the Stonehorn because they don't have line of sight, and then the rest of them popping the poor little Iron Guts on the right-hand side. However, look, I can see we're not in a terrible spot because this center unit of Iron Guts, it's only a 4-strong squad. However, they still, with the movement, with being hungry and whatnot, they've got some flexibility to go where they're needed. So, or we could just see 20 Noblars pile onto that objective and be like, hey, Stormcast, this isn't for you anymore. And let's not count out a Tyrant. A Tyrant is a mean mother flipper with a big hammer, a pokey stick, and a generally grumpy disposition. So could possibly take that objective back from 10 unbuffed Liberators naked by himself and then stand there being like, who wants a bloody go?
Well, I think the problem facing also Daniel, who's playing a great game so far, they both are, is that he needs CP everywhere. He's got a character on each. He's got Celestin on those Liberators. He's got the Zeros on this unit of Liberators as well. He's obviously got all the characters near the unit middle Liberators. He's only stat on 2 CP now, so let's say the Tyrant goes in and does a bunch. They could be battle shot. They're Bravery 7, probably in this. So 3 more dead. I tell you what, those Iron Guts are going to run.
He wants that as well. Just so, for those who aren't aware, he absolutely wants one of his Iron Guts at the very least to run because that activates the ability on the rest of his Iron Guts, down to the Iron Guts. It's a really interesting ability, and it's one of the reasons that, for my money, I think that the More Tribes book is one of the best written that we've seen in a long time. Yes, there are a couple of stupid things in there. However, down to the Iron Guts, the ability every one of those units has. Once per battle in your hero phase, if at least one ogre model from your army has fled the battle, you can use this ability. If you do so, you can reroll hit, wound, and save rolls of 1 for this unit until your next hero phase. But
unfortunately, I think there's too many of those that they're all going to run away, right?
Yeah, but there's only 2 left. So, and with all those liberators about to hit them with their little hammery hammers, we may find that I would be hoping that there's 1 Iron Gut left just to book it. We've just seen the Griffhound go in on the other side of the board as well.
Oh, there's a lot going in there. So in the shooting phase, as we saw 4. We of the original unit of Iron Guts left. We saw another 2 taken away from this left-hand side here. We lost them, unfortunately. And then we saw another 3 wounds put onto the Frostlord and Stonehorn. So he's got to weather... I mean, he took no damage last time. He's going to get to do D6 mortal wounds from Metal Cruncher in his turn. He's probably just looking, at this stage, to survive this turn. So that 2d6 mortal wounds coming in from Metal Cruncher just from the Stonehorn would be brilliant. As well, like, he's been wounded enough now, the Frostlord, that he's still good, but he's going to be doing damage. And then really... is whether or not he's got enough time to knock everything out, because like those Vanguard Raptors at the back, they now look like they're going to be relatively unimposed, and they could just start shooting everything off the board, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those Raptors, unless for some reason they get translocated into a different spot, they're not at any great risk. So yeah, and it looks like there's 1 Iron Gut left down there to run away on the left-hand side of the board, which is exactly what you want. You want one left so you got minimum amount running away, and all your other Iron Guts get stronger. But yeah,
isn't it just that unit? Doesn't just that unit get the reroll ones? Not all the Iron Guts?
No. So it's after any model has run from any ogre model has run in the army. So it's not just the Iron Guts. You almost want a unit of wussy little gluttons to do the bailing, because it's one model from your army has fled the battle. One ogre model specifically from your army. So Noblars don't count. So yeah, that'll be perfect. But you are right. It means that outside of the 4 Iron Guts in the middle there's not going to be anything to put much pressure on those Vanguards. However, can we talk about this ogre turn? Because what we could see is there's a big old gap through that Ophidian archway to where they are. So there is a very good chance that those Iron Guts I think they'll be a much faster move, because they're going to be, they might not be hungry. Oh no, they'll be 3 inches out, so they'll be hungry. A much faster move, and with a decent charge, either the Tyrant or those Iron Guts could be in those Vanguard Raptors before they have time to say, where's my bird?
Well, if I was anyone, I'd be this cheeky young Noblar. Move up, do a charge around the Ophidian archway, just lock in, put some bodies back onto the objective on the left-hand side, and then I can only be shot into those Noblars, which really does free up some of my more key pieces, ultimately. The Stonehorn's activating now in combat, and is starting to do its damage. Don't forget, we get Metal Cruncher with D6 mortal wounds, and then we're going to see how many other Liberators he can take out. Not loads, though, because they're on a 3-up save, and they're re-rolling 1s. Like, there's some good rend on the Stonehorn, but sometimes
not that much.
Yeah. I mean, 3 at re-rolling 1s. I mean, you can see why on 60 wounds. You can see why this is something that sees a lot of play, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised. Personally, I would have targeted the Griffhound, and I know that seems a little counterintuitive. But but just hear me out. Hear me out for a second. I would have targeted the Griffhound with a couple of attacks to clear it out of my way, so that in my turn, if the Frostlord's getting down, because I think he's got to be at 8 wounds taken now. That means my Frostlord and Stonehorn can retreat out of there and still give me 10 bodies on the objective to score. Because at the moment, that Griffhound being where it is means the Frostlord on Stonehorn can't retreat out. Where now he's stuck there to take hammers to the face until the cows come home.
Well, I think he's happy fighting there. The Griffhound's actually used his ability to charge in, attack, and then run away on a 4-up. Maybe to threaten these Noblars and to pin them in from getting involved in the fight, potentially. But, these Noblars in the center can run over to the left, I think, and take out and sit on this other objective. The Iron Guts in the middle can punch into those Liberators. So you can have a lot of charges going off here ultimately, which could be very, very good for the Ogres and this Tyrant as well. Unfortunately, they are going to have to trade activations. Now, this one Iron Gut all on his own has killed a Liberator in revenge for what's happened to all of his brothers. His whole squad of 7, who he's known from. Do we know what ogres start out as? Are they born ogre size? Do we know?
I think they're just born like small bundles of hate and hunger, which is much like human children. I'm reliably told. Okay, so let's watch the pile-in of these Liberators and let's see. It looks like they're done buggering around with this Stonehorn. They really want to see him dead.
Yeah, some Grand Hammers want to go in that way, right?
Yeah, they definitely want him. They want to put some pain train on his face. But yeah, I'm not sure what an ogre child looks like. I am confident that I don't want to know as well.
I would argue that the entire ogres book is really just the term hangry turned into a battle tome.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, they're a breeze block of pain, but I think that we're gonna see there'll be enough attacks to bring that Frostlord on Stonehorn down. I'll be very surprised if he's still hanging around after this.
Agreed.
Just from the sheer amount. So what do you do coming out of this? Because it's going to look like there's going to be a lot of effective bodies taken off the table this turn for the Maw tribes. How do you balance that back out?
Okay, so this part is that part saying the same? They need to go closer to the Stonehorn, not further away from the Stonehorn. With those back set of lips, basically, which is an easy mistake to make. It really is. You see it from all sorts of people who've won Masters at the LGT, plenty of time, let alone any other time. Right. So this is the activation, though. So do you think that this Frostlord Stonehorn's going to survive? 3 rerollable save down. He's got 6 wounds left. There are, I think, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Grand Hammers. 5 Grand Hammers going into this Frostlord and Stonehorn. Will he take it, I guess, is the real answer. And if he does, he's already activated, though, right, John? And he didn't do very much damage back into those Stormcast.
No, he didn't do much at all. However, it looks like we've got a lot of misses with the Grand Hammers, so maybe lucky. We'll see.
He's going to need to be. Because it's a linchpin at this point, isn't it? He wants him kept in there. If nothing else, just for the Metal Cruncher for the next turn. Another D6 mortal wounds into those Liberators will be super useful for the army. Yeah. He should be okay. Don't forget he's got a 3 rollable save and a 5-up DPR. So there's a lot of like give. But you sometimes can just roll quite badly.
Mm-hmm.
Only 2.
Oh my goodness
Only
gracious!
2.
Only 2 from all of that. He's iron from ice at this point in time. You love to see it. Okay, this is going to be. I'm actually very. We knew what the Stormcast turn was going to look like going into the top of this. I'm really interested to see where the Maw tribes turn goes now, because we've lost a little bit of effectiveness on the board. However, that Stonehorn holding that spot in the middle means that suddenly there's still 19 bodies scoring for the Maw tribes in the middle. And how many Liberators do we see? Because I don't know if they've got enough.
I don't know. I think they might have enough. We'll get that counted up, but it's very, very close, right?
So it stays with the Maw tribes.
Wow. Now that isn't the primary, ultimately. But yeah, it does
but that's
mean
2 points.
Yeah, but it does mean that they're not because they've got the battle line as well, so they're not scoring the max. And now I think you're going to see a big shift because this Liberator unit is going to get smaller. But unfortunately, you might lose a Stonehorn this turn because he's not going to have reroll saves anymore. So that's going to be very interesting. You assume the Iron Guts champion is he running? Is he using the CP? No, he used the CP to keep the Iron Guts champion in it. That's cool. Yeah, he's staying there. So that's the turn.
Oh, that was you down to the Iron Guts. Come on. Oh, Let him run. Let him go back to his family, see his tiny, horrifyingly hairy and large children, and then use his cowardice to embolden the other one. Ah, that's all right. We get it. We're keeping points on. I just personally would have probably held on to that command point for a re-rolled charge if things go the way of the dodo in this particular turn.
Yeah, I mean, pretty certain. Yeah, you could be right. I mean, a 1 inch, a double one charge at this point would be pretty awful. I'd be excited to see where these Noblars go. I think these Noblars might run. They might run here into this back objective as opposed to forward in this situation, and then just look to take the Liberators out. I think would be the right call. Who you're going to activate with is going to be the kind of scary part, because you're going to want to do it with a Stonehorn before he dies, but then you want all the output from the Iron Guts to kind of protect the Stonehorn. So,
well, at this point in time, the Stonehorn's lost so many wounds that and Metal Cruncher happens, I think, at the start of the combat phase. I'll double check, but
it does at the start.
So the main damage for the Frostlord is coming out of Metal Cruncher, and I reckon you're getting like that. We're going to do either way. So I'd be inclined to be leading off with the Iron Guts for sure. I don't know that the Frostlord's going to put out too much else, except for his poke and spear, which never gets worse, unless I miss my guess, which is 3 3s and 3s. So we'll see. We'll see, I guess. But I'll be interested to see where we go in that one. But oh yes, let's get some meaty.
So yeah, eight Iron Guts over here are now about to go into Unit Liberators, and they should do some pretty horrific work. Like we said, that's 24 attacks, 25 for the champ, 3s and 3s.
That Lord Celestin is just going to impotently stand there and watch all of his friends get eaten. That's what's about to happen. He'll stand there holding his sword, being like, "Go forth, my children," and then he's going to watch all of his babies be shoveled down the mouths. Although, unfortunately, and just for those who are more narrative players, the disappointing thing is that this is not the Moor tribe that's figured out how to eat Stormcast souls. And can we just talk about how awful a reforging that would be if your soul is reforged and then you realize someone took a bite out of it mid-reforging? That would just be a really bad place to be as a Stormcast, which makes me happy. I feel like every Liberator should just have their tonsils nipped out.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I also like the idea that an ogre would eat a Stormcast soul and then just fart a bit out, which would be hilarious. I love that concept. Now the Grots are doing what I think was the right call. Look at this, moving around here. They're looking for the charge. It's not particularly far.
I think it's a 4-inch. I think I saw that someone measure it before. It looked like it was like a 4.6 or a 4.2. So this lead Grot over here. So yeah.
So and he's only in my opinion got to charge around here and get one in to lock them up, and then just snake the others around onto the objective. The Tyrant is going to be going into this objective here as well to free up that Iron Guts champion. So there's a lot of fighting to happen, a lot of activations, and then these 4 Iron Guts here, they're going to be going into this unit of Liberators. So that unit of Liberators under a lot of pressure, and if that charge comes off of the Grots, at least for a turn, that unit of Hunters, which is a 510 point unit, it's 25% of the output of the army, are going to be neutered to a significant degree, which is good. However, going into the next battle round, they obviously can shoot in the shooting phase, so they could shoot all the Noblars off and then still be free to shoot in the shooting phase. So that's the power of that Anvils of Heldenhammer command ability, which is why it's pretty much the only Storm host we've seen for competitive play in about 2 years, honestly, Dan.
Oh, yeah, it's dominated like the meta and people's hearts, which you always want to try and dominate both of those things. But I think what'll be interesting and what I'm very keen to see, so follow along with us if you're watching at home, that middle unit of Iron Guts, never mind the thing I was about to say, they're doing something completely different with their time. I was about to say I would put that middle unit of Iron Guts into this big block of Liberators just to get maximum damage on them. Because that way, if you can get them into combat with that unit, but stay outside of, see that gentle middle line that we've got through there, then you are still at -1 to hit if the Vanguard Raptors if the Grots fail their charge, or if they manage to free up with a translocation and get some shooting, then you'd still be at -1 to hit for being in your half of the board in your territory. But it looks like those Iron Guts, disappointingly, he doesn't trust his general or the champion to do it, and so they're going to help, which, given that that is currently the primary objective over there on the left-hand flank, is probably the smart move, and then hopefully you win priority and can just bring the hate down on that center objective.
Interesting. I guess it really gives him, I guess also, if he manages to bunny hop as well, he jumps over, he charges the Liberators here. It really isn't what I was expecting, I won't lie. Charges the Liberators here, takes this out, then he's got a threat towards those Raptors. And had he gone straight, like we were saying, like he has to go through the wall before he gets to the Raptors. So definitely a smarter play. Mitch has done, the reason we're looking at this army as well is because the army is very interesting. It's Iron Guts, it's in Winterbite. It's quite rare you see this in... But Mitch himself is also doing really well with this list continuously. So we are also eyeballing the player and seeing it. Like, go on after you.
I was just going to say really quickly, we're seeing these Grots down here. Now, that retreat out for the Griffhound that allowed more of those hammers to get in was great. It was beautiful. It was lovely. However, if this Frostlord on Stonehorn doesn't die, like those Grots are going to charge and use the Griffhound as a slingshot to get into the objective in the middle here too, which means that he can maintain control of this objective and continue to outscore. Which would be huge, especially if then priority swings back around, because after the Iron Guts on the right-hand side of the board go into those Liberators, Stormcast no longer have any way to score the right-hand objective if it becomes the priority.
Agreed, yeah. We're going to now, just by the way, it's Stuart who's playing, obviously Stuart McCowan, not Mitch. Mitch McCowan, actually the name of a 70s footballer I had a picture of on my wall when I was a kid, with a great mustache, Dan. You'd have been amazed. Talking about mustaches, a man who I'm not sure can grow one. Owen is going to give us an update from the rest of the event. There are 25 tables of people playing in this online TTS event. It's called Hammertime. Owen organises it. This is Hammertime 6. It's the largest one that we know of to date, which is very, very exciting. Owen TOing and table reporting, so it's exciting. We're going to find out from him now what's happening at the rest of the event. Here he is, the gorgeous Owen Jackson.
Thanks, Rob. Yes, I have grown a moustache. I've grown an incredibly huge beard at one point. I shall send you photographic evidence at some point. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty manic day, buzzing around. But I've been able to catch up on a few little stories and see how each round is going, or each game is going. So yeah, I think the story so far really is that there's a little bit of tentative play, but there's a fair amount of like alpha striking, somebody taking like the big combat element of their army and just pushing it into the middle of their opponent's army and trying to pin them back. I think obviously, like you said on the stream, there's a fair amount of funneling into the center of the board. So people are taking key pieces such as an Archaeon. We've got an Archaeon Alpha Strike, for example. Casper's Zinch Archaeon is literally right in the face of Jiwan Noah Singh's Croak Castle. Although I'm not sure if he's got Croak, actually. He might have a Slan. Anyway, his Lizard Castle is being stormed. I've seen a Leviathan. This is Jonathan Anderson's Leviathan doing a bit of turtle power, storming the castle of Philip Cartier's Teclis. Both Teclis and the Leviathan fighting it out on top of a building, which is quite cinematic to see. Other than that, yes, we've got a big alpha from Stephen Follow's Zinch Archaeon. He's gone right into the middle of Ridge Hanna's Seraphon Fang's castle. So yeah, I think he knows he's going to get shot, so he'd rather get shot whilst chopping things up and pinning his opponent back. So yeah, that's, as I say, lots of alpha striking going on. Other than that, I've seen in Mark Brooks and Inferno's game, the Catapult's doing some work, and he's just got the Death Riders into his Storm Fiends. So he's hoping that the Death Riders can hang on a bit and maybe tag in those Storm Fiends and negate their shooting for a turn, or at least he's going to make them shoot the Riders. Other than that, the only other big story I've got in a sort of Soccer Sunday special, I'm going to be your Jeff Stelling. In Matthew Goldsborough and Marcus's game, so this is Matthew Goldsborough's Idneth Deepkin using the new Marathi rules against Marcus's Sons of Behemat. And the Sons of Behemat, yeah, they've got the dream, the 6-6 on the kick. He's just yeeted his own objective 12 inches, and there's lots of sort of football scarves out, and everyone's doing sort of match of the day music and whatnot, all that football goodness. Yeah, that's all going on table 16. So yeah, fun and games. I think there's a long way to go in these round 2 games. Obviously, everyone's playing shifting objectives on the same map. So I'm going to shift my objective away from talking to you lovely people and being a TO. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to pass you back to Rob and Dan, who can give you some more guts on tin can action. Back to you, boys.
Let's go. We're welcome back. There he is, Owen, a babe. He organises this event for free, for loads of people, with his own time. He's a superstar and a credit to the community. I'd vote for him to be a Warhammer hero, but they're not good enough to have him. He's a Warhammer legend, is what I think. Right, so back to this game. Welcome back. I'm Rob, and Dan is with me. Hey, Dan.
How are we going? I'm so excited. Just in the last 30 seconds, we've seen huge movement in this game. I'm so excited.
Well, let's quickly catch everyone up. So we're playing shifting objectives, so 3 objectives. The one on the far left is worth more points, but Battle Line always score a bonus point in each one of these. So any of these objectives, you can score a bonus 1 battle point, victory point here. After turn 1, the Stormcast moved into the center, 10 Liberators on each flank with 30 in the middle, backed up by this cavalcade, this thunderous volley shots of Vanguard Raptors with long strike crossbows. They didn't do much in the first turn. The Ogres tried to charge, but they got blocked up by Aetherwings, and that Stonehorn whomped into that block of 30 Liberators. In turn 1, the Stormcast fired all their shots, killing most of these Ogres, Iron Guts on the left, apart from the one unit champ who's now just being a legend and fighting on his own. And then the Stonehorn just has been tanking the Liberators, fighting in the hero phase and the combat phase. So he's taken 3 rounds of combat and some shooting. He's still got 4 wounds left. And then on the right-hand side, Dan, what's happened this turn? Looks like a lot's gone off.
Okay, so last turn we were talking that it was a rough turn for the Ogres. They lost a lot of their output, and this turn we are just seeing some amazing stuff. So let's go from the left and we'll move over. We're not even started the combat phase, and all of those little black tokens, that's an upside down Liberator. That's a dead Liberator, dead before even an axe was swung or anyone was nary a lustful twinkle in their grandfather's eye. So the Tyrant has obviously whipped his pistols out of his jockstrap and blown away 2 of those Liberators on the left-hand flank in the shooting phase. Good on him, just shooting from the hip, taking them out. The other 2 were killed by what I can only assume were the impact hits from the gut charge of the combined impact of the Tyrant and the Iron Guts there, which is spectacular. That's wonderful. You love to see it. On the far right-hand side, we have the other unit of Iron Guts that killed a Liberator with their bellies alone. Love that as well. Really good. But in the middle here, we have the heroes of the day. The tiny diminutive greenskins that aren't even good enough to call themselves grots, and they are moving on in. They're you know what? They're like a 90s retro jam. They're moving on up. Moving on up. Yeah,
amazing.
To capture that objective. And really importantly, if we swing around to the Stormcast point of view and have a look at it from the back, one of those little grots has charged far enough to get himself around and put himself within spitting distance of a Vanguard Raptor, which means that those Raptors will be spending their days pumping into, and I don't care how many grots die, for sure one of those grots is going to remain there, staring at him being like, come in here and have a bloody go. So if they choose to snipe, they have to snipe him. Now, translocation, yes, could pop them out and get them to a safe space. But for right now, those grots are the most annoying pain in the cankle that those poor little Vanguard hunters could have. Raptors,
rather. Perfect. It's perfect. And and they took that opportunity to move a little bit closer forward. And now those Noblars, it really does show the use sometimes of the useless. Those 220s were not the threats inside the game. They weren't like the big power pieces. They weren't the things to really talk about. But now their movement and the ability to be 20 models and hold an objective like we're seeing now with the charge around the Gryph-hound is fantastic. It really does prove how useful that they can be here. Hopefully that Gryph-hound doesn't do too much damage. And there's some big charges have gone off here. You know, I can't wait to see what 8 Iron Guts do to a unit of Liberators. It's just cinematic. It's just gorgeous. You know, like in the film where they set up the guy with a shield and then the lunatic naked ginger fella charges at them, pushes their shield over and just whops them with a shield. So it's going to be pretty fun. Also, not forgetting that unit of Iron Guts on the far right, that's battle line. So if they take out that objective, which they will anyway, they're scoring some bonus points. So it's all good for the ogres in this situation.
The only one that we're going to have to keep an eye on, because it will be huge and telling, is the pile-in of this Liberator unit in the center. Obviously, they're going to want to pile in as many as they can get into those grots. However, the Frostlord on Stonehorn probably still remains the closest, so they all need to finish their pile-in moves closer.
Yeah, so that Frostlord and Stonehorn has activated first. He's done Metal Cruncher. I don't know if it actually just happens at the start. I don't think you have to activate the model. So he's only done 1 mortal wound, which is pretty rough. And he's also given himself, he's a command point, and he's given himself reroll 1s to save. So that means there's no command points left for the more tribes there. So 3-up save, rerolling 1s. So just trying to hold on in that situation. So it means he is piling in with the...
here we go.
With these Iron Guts, but these Iron Guts, unfortunately, didn't get a very good charge, it looks like, Dan.
I think between the impact hits, 2 were lost to impact hits, and they were pulled from their charge point after they landed. But they do have I think they've got a 2-inch reach, 3-inch reach, so they should still be able to get some choppiness in there.
I think it's only 2, unfortunately. Well, listen, this list has been a list that's had me excited for such a long time. Well, for at least for a couple of months. Mitch has been running it, and honestly... You know, you often see Yurlbads. You see a lot of Frostlord on Stonehorns. That's the kind of list. Boulderhead is the kind of list that you often see in competitive Age of Sigmar. People do well with it all around the world. It's a very solid list. It works really well. What's nice about this is at least it's a semi-different take. You know, the last time I saw something quite this dynamic was when we saw Par play earlier on in the year in Sheffield Slaughter, when he was taking scrap launchers and killing all sorts of models. And look at those boys. The Iron Guts have smote that left-hand flank. Smoten it.
And the Tyrant's still standing there just being like, hey, I have a breeze blocker pain for you whenever you're ready. You guys take your time, but when you're ready, I'm going to turn you into absolute mincemeat. And on the other side, do we want to put bets on how many Iron Guts these unbuffed, naked as the day they were born Liberators are going to put on them? I think they might do 4 wounds.
I think they might kill 1 Iron Gut. 1. But if they don't, it's just going to be horrific. Like, again, 20... it's 3 attacks each, so it's 24 attacks. I think there's a bonus one for the unit champion as well. So you get an extra attack. So it's 25 attacks, 3s and 3s. Rerolling, only Ren 1 though. That is a bit of a killer, but that is going to mean that they've only got a 5-up save. But each one that goes through is 3 damage. 3 damage. Whew!
And Iron Guts only 4 wounds, unless I miss my guess, which means Lalo the Tyrants shouldn't be doing them any favors either.
No, 4 wounds. 4 wounds on those guys. So yeah, and they've only done, it looks like, 2 damage, but that could just be from the Grand Hammer. So yes. Oh, we've lost an Iron Gut. We've lost 2. Oh, oof, heartbreak. So that's going to be. I mean, that's fair. Now, one of the weaknesses of the ogres generally, they're multi-wound models with, I guess, Bravery 7 is average or maybe even high. Really, you know, I guess it's on the higher end. Ultimately, but you know, personally, it would be losing 2 still not great. You know,
I wouldn't have expected to lose as many in that, but we'll see, I guess, where they go. Tyrant having a go now on the left-hand side.
Fantastic
Come on, buddy.
Model. The model being used here is the one from the. It smoked those guys. Delete it.
Off you pop. Back to the pavilion. Go on. Just cleaned them up, cleaned their clock, and they can go and sit down and have a think about what they've done.
Get some new armor on, lads, because you're done. Yeah. You're absolutely done.
go forget some memories because this is one that you'll be remembering for a long time. But now, this is the question, Rob. This is the question.
Yeah, what is
Can
it?
this Frostlord on Stonehorn, who's been bleeding wounds like a desperate
Come
player at a poker table in Vegas, he's losing them left, right, and center. Can he hold out one more round of combat?
We've
Because
zoomed in on his face. He looks. I won't lie. He looks furious.
he's
furious.
not stoked.
Yeah,
He
he's.
can. Maybe this is what happened. We saw the Iron Guts apparently forgot to put their trousers on the right way today. So that's why over on the right we lost 2 of them to just a bunch of tarted up free guild. And so maybe what we'll see here is we'll see him survive all of these little scratches.
Yeah, this is going to be so good. They're going to be so. He's going to be so furious, but he needs to live. He needs to live. I predict he stays alive with 1 wound.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say he's going to stay alive with 2. I think 2. I think he's got this.
Okay. Oh, so he doesn't get to reroll all saves now. Only gets to reroll ones. So that rend coming in from the Grand Hammers is going to make a situation a little bit harder. We've seen those Liberators piling again. They seem to have gotten near the Noblars. So you might see a few wounds going to the Noblars as well. And their bravery is not particularly strong. I think there might be an inch. So you might get 1 Grand Hammer attack into those Noblars. There's also the Gryph-hound attack into the Grots as well in the centre. So there's a fight going on there. But the left-hand flank's secure. I think the right-hand flank will be secure as well. I'm surprised it didn't do any mortal wounds from the charge from the Iron Guts. But there you go. We're seeing some Grand Hammer attacks come in. I think we've just seen 2 more wounds go on. 2 more wounds, but that's not dead. He's very, very close. Oh,
So he's got 2 left, which means that none of this round of mini hammer attacks can do anything for me to be correct.
Oh wait, he's lost 1. He's lost 1 so far. He gets to reroll 2-1. Oh no, these are to wound. So he's got 9 saves to make, I think. And he's passed them all but 1. And then he's got a 5 up on this. So he's got 1 wound left. I called it. I called it. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
That was good.
Okay.
That was good.
Now
he's laughing. He's going to do Metal Cruncher again next turn. He's like, yes, I crush.
This is insane. Okay, you know what? This is the moment where the Gryph-hound wants to run in and just scratch the last eyeball out of that Stonehorn.
Don't forget, that Stonehorn's been -1 to hit for a significant portion of the game ever since last round. So he's gone through 2 combat phases at -1 to hit as well, which is pretty devastating generally for Stonehorns. They don't like that. A lot of the other builds that we're seeing playing around at the minute on some of the top tables, you're seeing double, even triple minuses to hit via Geminids and Loci and a whole bunch of other things. So there's some real wound mitigation that isn't just straight up armor tanking like you see with Stormcast, but it's like reducing the efficacy of your to hit roll, and you see that a lot. Some of the top end tables, like we haven't looked at any of the Lumineth today, and we really should. Like they've got some pretty terrifying abilities on the tabletop, so we should do next time.
Wonderful crossplay. I was just about to say as well, with the survival of that Frostlord on Stonehorn, even if the combat on the right didn't involve flicking Liberators off the table like you didn't like Liberators because they suck, they're going to take a clean sweep of all the objectives again this turn. The only thing to note is that the center objective won't be held by battle line for the wonderful more tribes. So the primary objective on the left is going to be worth 3 points. The secondary objective on the right is going to be worth 2 points because the Iron Guts are battle line. However, that middle objective is only going to be worth 1 because it's not a primary objective and there's no battle line. It's held by the most important units in the army, the Noblars. However, it's not going to be, with that 10 wounds from the Stonehorn, it's not going to be worth 2 points this turn.
It is not. And look, actually, the death of the Stonehorn would have reduced his scoring by 10. That would have been so significant, realistically. And now that's been taken away from him, so that's actually pretty key. And look, I'm so happy with the damage that's been done there. One Liberator was like, I can't believe I tried to hold this golden line. This is absolutely... Do you know what this is, Dan? This is like when it's coming up to Christmas and we all like a good snowball fight. This reminds me when I go play with the kids in the park snowballing, but I fill mine with rocks. That's what I do.
See, I take a T-shirt cannon. So I just load snow into a T-shirt cannon and just... it's much the same. Very strong effect.
They always go straight down, and I'm like, there you go. Yeah.
I just paint potatoes white and throw those. It's a really satisfying impact sound.
That also works really well. Stonehorn is now activating, so we might get some more output coming from the Stonehorn. The fact that he's alive to fight back is pretty scary.
Yeah, that's enough for him. Now, what's going to be interesting here as well is that those Iron Guts on the right-hand side, if the turn goes to the Stormcast, they'll probably clear through that Lord Celestant. And then if it was me, I'd be looking to try and bring them into that combat in the center and swing it back your way. But we'll see. Oh my gosh, Noblar's going into fight. Yes, please.
Yes, go on, Noblars.
Put this
and
in my face.
Donald just pointed out the fact that if that Iron Guts... if that Liberator does flee, it does mean that there's going to be +2 on the Battle Shock test on the Iron Guts. They're going to eat some models on the way out. So that's useful as well. I think the fact that those Liberators are just pinned in, it doesn't matter. Are they pinned in? No, I think the Vanguard, they've dropped the Gretchen. I don't think...
Well, he only needs to be within 3 is the thing. The Grot.
Yeah, I don't know if he is a question.
3. Oh, right. Under there.
He could be. I can't measure myself, so my assumption is that he is.
Look
and
at
then,
all these dice, and none of them are doing anything.
Look at all these Noblars.
One. Come on. One Noblar. Ah.
Did the Stonehorn do no damage? That's fascinating. We'll find out from our table boss if the Stonehorn did no damage in the combat phase. I feel like he should have done something.
I think just surviving was enough for the Stonehorn. If
no
he's did nothing
damage.
Else, yeah. Okay. Well, he was alive when he should have been not alive by every stretch of the imagination. So I think that he's doing okay. Take a dislocated shoulder and pat yourself on the back, mate.
See, what's important also about this matchup is that this Liberator unit at the minute is battle line, but also so are these units of Iron Guts on the left and the right, and they're now bonus points. They're bonus points per turn. So he's going to get an extra 2 this turn. And now that Liberator unit is the only one that's going to be extra points if there were any extra points to be had at all. So we now... Are we in the Battle Shock phase? No, the Gryph-hound's running away. So he's rolled his dice to try and run onto this maybe side objective. Potentially. He could be on there. Or maybe he's just going home. He's just getting in the house. He's like, I've had a long day. I want to lie down. I've been up for a walk. I've done everything I wanted. I'm going to just eat myself some Ruskies and go to sleep.
Oh, it looks like we've got a priority roll.
Okay, so did we get the score there? That's the question. Did also the Battle Shock phase happen and nothing bad happened? Because okay, so the Pink Liberator has spent a CP. So the Celestant there spent a CP to keep him in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Is what happened, and then we might be into a priority roll. We'll find out in a moment what the situation. But big, 13 victory points, 13 victory points to Ogre More Tribes right now, Dan. Lean into this priority roll, and I think you've got the result on that, right?
Yes, the Stormcast took priority, and I believe it was a 6 to a 5. Is how that rolled out, that's a tough get because that's going to give the Stormcaster a little edge. Otherwise, we would have been seeing a tyrant, I would say, in the side of those Vanguard Raptors doing just awful things to them. Instead, I think we'll probably see an attempt to translocate to get those Vanguard Raptors out of 3 of that Noblar behind the tree, or at least I'd be surprised if that's not what we see. And he's going to try and lightning storm the Frostlord on Stonehorn to finish him off.
Oh, a bit of lightning from space. Let's see. Does he get it? He's killed the Frostlord.
He's got 2 DPR saves. He needs to make both of these.
2 5-ups. 2 5-ups.
Oh, there it is.
Only
There it
one.
is.
Only one. And he's dead. So look at that
Which
whole...
which is the major objective for this turn? Which is the primary?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need to know that, because
that's
that
also important.
if it's the one on the left or the right, things aren't going to be great. It's the
So-
one, I believe, that would put it on the right, I think. I'm not sure.
We'll just wait for the guys to let us know. So one of the things that's also going to happen here, Dan, that we're seeing right now, is that Anvils of Heldenham ability is going to come into massive effect again. So the piling in the hero phase now, after the Lightning Storm, means that all these guys are free to punk those Noblars, and those Noblars are going down. If you guys would like to look at the list, by the way, you just type in !lists, and you'll be able to see all the lists. If you'd like to see all the lists and all the people playing at the event, you can type !event, and that will bring up a link in the chat to all of the things available for you there as well. Effectively.
Something interesting to look at, just while we're at it too, is that right now, given how badly the other units of 10 libs took a pounding, the lovely Stormcast Eternals only have one battle line unit remaining, which is those Liberators in the center there. So we've still got all 3 units of Iron Guts, even though one's down to only a single model, which they're going to get shot to absolute buggery right now. But it does mean that there's still a lot more potential for late game up scoring in the More Tribes at the moment.
Yeah, keeping that one Liberator in is quite important over there on the left. I mean, he could potentially... The problem is there's a lot that the Vanguard Raptors need to deal with. Do you know what?
They're shooting. They had to shoot the Grots.
Yeah, they had to shoot the Grots. Yeah. Oh no, as if that's true. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. And did I not say that they were the most important unit in this game? And look at him coming through. Can we Table Boss, can we ask the player to name that one heroic Grot?
Yeah, heroic Grot.
I would love him to have a name. I would like
we can name him, Dan.
We can name him. Okay. Yeah. What should we name him?
Neo, because he's just dodging bullets.
Is he, or did everyone else jump in the way and die? Should we call him like Stalin or something?
No, what about? I don't know what he is. But so this Grot, and why this is so important is because that CP spent in the command phase, in the hero phase. Oh wait, he's dead.
Well, not as exciting then.
Not as exciting.
What happened to the poor little fella?
What happened to the Grot is the real question. And so they spent the CP in the shooting phase to unload, and the first thing they had to do was shoot the unit that you're in combat with, because that's what you have to do. You're in combat with the unit and you've got to shoot. Shot at the unit of Grots, and then we'll find out what happened in a moment, or our Table Boss can tell us while we talk, so that we can instantly tell you.
That was it was still, even though they all died in one round of shooting, that meant that 500-point unit of Vanguard Raptors, which usually would be putting two rounds of shooting out a turn, spent an entire round of shooting killing the cheapest unit in the More Tribes army, they did their job.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dan, what happened, or what you can see on the tabletop there, is that Knight of Zeros that was there. He had to spend another CP with the Knight of Zeros to make it so that he could pile in, which meant he isn't going to pile in with that unit of Liberators. So only, not on loads of CP there. So actually, not the biggest reward going for Stuart, but still a good reward in that the Liberators didn't pile in this turn. They didn't do it in the hero phase.
How much CP does that put the Stormcast player on? Because I thought he was out at the bottom of last turn.
No, he's on 0 now.
All right, cool. Well, that's okay. And so it looks like the Raptors are backing off because they're like, "Hey, our meat shield of friends is gone."
Yeah, absolutely. They need to get away and get away quick, and they're only going to be able to shoot this phase. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Zeros try to become a roadblock. So he drops down here and effectively just tries to hold off the Iron Guts for a turn. But they're also not. There's no one stopping them scoring. In this situation, he needs to try and get rid of all of the Iron Guts because they're scoring bonus points. He's got a 3-point lead going into this turn. So Ogre More Tribes on 13, Stormcast on 10. A lot of this is thanks to those bonus points. However, those Liberators, they can count as 2 different... Oh, actually, I'd have to check the battle plan. I'm pretty certain that you could score with that Liberator unit over twice for 2 bonus points.
I think you could. I think at this point in time, with the loss of all of that pressure from the center, I would be looking, if I was the More Tribes, just to capitalize and hold those two objectives. Because we're going into turn 3 now. You only need to hold them for a couple more turns, and there just doesn't seem to be the bodies, the battle line bodies for the Liberators to score. Did we work out which was the primary objective for this turn?
That's a great point. I think it's still the one on the left because, as you can see, the marker is there for it.
Yeah.
And we're now into the movement phase. So this poor unit of Noblars in the center, destined for a murdering. Absolutely destined to be chopped up.
They're within 3, which means those Liberators are going to have to pile in. So my question is I don't think the Stormcast can score more than 2 points this turn.
No, I don't think they can either. I think all they can actually do is they can hope. They can really hope to reduce down for turns 4 and 5. This is only turn 3. So as you can see here, really smart play by Daniel. What he's done is he's split up on the right-hand side. The pink Liberator from that unit is on the far side, whereas these are blocking Griffhound and Celestin over to the left. Now that's really useful because it means Mitch is going to have to run over. Stuart's going to have to run over. I don't know what's wrong with me. Stuart's going to have to run over and beat up that Liberator to take him out so that he can't score any bonus points, which means he's still really far away, which means the Raptors can shoot into him and kind of hold this side. So effectively what he's trying to do is create like a holding pattern on the right flank and then use the center and the left flank to score his objectives turns 4 and 5. And very, very quickly, the Ogres are running out of options and toys to play with.
However, can I like to put a cheeky idea out, which seeing how it goes, the Iron Guts here on the right-hand side, if they were to charge in, kill that Liberator, and then move back behind into their territory, they're at -1 to hit from those Vanguard Raptors. And those Stormcast, the big block of Stormcast, anywhere they leave is going to be caught by the other side of things. Where, if we have one Iron Gut left, and that Tyrant can go through and pick the Raptors up, or just keep scoring into next turn, we'll see another big lead gained by the More Tribes. So it could be interesting. It'll depend what survives at the bottom of this turn, I guess.
I think the battleline units need to come across here. That far left-hand objective is effectively worth 3. Look at that, and we've seen that unit of Iron Guts. Wow, went from 4 to 1 as quick as it can be possible, and then he's definitely looking to try and take it. He's got no more shots though. That's all the Raptors that have shot in, and so the Azeros is going to go and try and attack. However, there's a meaty Tyrant who will make, unless it's a long enough charge, that Tyrant's going to go and duff him up as well. But the Azeros just looking to take out the battle line units, really, to stop that bonus VP score. I think that's a key part of this key play, really.
Well, and I think that the Zeros is going to need to kill both of these Iron Guts. Activate first, kill both of the Iron Guts. The Tyrant will almost certainly kill the Azeros. Did the Tyrant... Table Boss, can we check if the Tyrant's Frost Fang finally activated?
No, it did not activate last turn.
Oh, bugger. But if this... The Tyrant could potentially kill the Azeros, and then
he's out. I think he's out. I think he's out now. He's put. Yeah, he's piled around, which is clever. That's a really clever play. So the charge, if you look, it took him equidistant between the two, or it took him closer to this Iron Gut. And then what he did is he piled away from the other units that could potentially harm him, and then he's deleted that unit. So that's another battle line unit gone. But it doesn't mean that this unit isn't going to be outscored, which is kind of interesting, actually, because the right kind of play would be to have done the same thing the other side to the other Iron Gut, because that one Iron Gut has taken a battle shock test, and you might have got lucky ultimately. Oh, no. Go on, Dan, after you.
Well, I was going to say, okay, so if I'm playing More Tribes right now, I'm pretty much giving up on the center objective. I've got nothing that can do it anymore. So what I would say, this is where I would go with it, right? At the moment, without doing anything else, the Iron Gut on the left-hand side of the board, the one remaining Iron Gut champion isn't going to run, and the Tyrant is just a beat stick on legs. So you go into the Knight of Zeros in your turn, you kill the Knight of Zeros, but you make sure that you stay in your half of the board so that if the Vanguard get it, they're at -1 to hit at the very least. And then the Tyrant, when you win priority, because surely more tribes are down to win a priority at some point, he can run off and do naughty things to the Vanguard Raptors while you've got one Iron Gut holding that objective. Your 6 Iron Guts on the other side of the board, kill off that one Liberator, get back on their half of the board to get their -1 to hit from missile weapons, and then you sit there and focus on scoring those 2 objectives for the rest of the game. And I think, and the Liberators, that big blob of Liberators, either can't come at you with enough numbers to take one of those objectives because they'll have to conga line out, or they abandon their objective to come to you, which means you're losing the bonus scoring on that middle objective. I think that the more tribes they're running out of options, but I think they've still got a good spot to jump into the driving seat of this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're very quickly. I mean, if they get this, they've got their turn next, and then a good priority roll just puts them, I think, maybe points ahead beyond what can be done to stop them.
Well, this turn the Stormcast won't go points ahead on them this turn. They're going to score 2, which is going to leave the Stormcast at 12. There's no way, even if the more tribes don't move, they're going to score 5. So it'll be 18 to 12 at the top of turn 4, leading to the more tribes.
Yeah, which is really strong. And every turn there's only 7 left on the board, so it's going to be very, very close. But again, that priority roll is pretty much a clincher leading into turn 4, and so far every priority roll has been taken by Stormcast.
I know. So, which for me means that the ogres deserve one. If the fate gods are out there, if the somewhere the flubby wubby dicey majestics want to throw one to the beefy boys, let's do it because they've earned it. Dang it.
Quick question from Ellis in the chat. The Bloodstalkers and the Daughters of Cain units that had points changes, some happened in the Marathi book, but specifically it was only Marathi Cain that changed inside the book. Everything else changed in the first time. One of the very first times we've seen this, although we've seen it before with the SNES release, the box set that came with the Daughters of Cain came out recently, and the Sinesh Mortal character is where we've seen points changes for Bloodstalkers and Blood Sisters. We also saw some War Scroll changes for Hellstriders as well. So that's where new points are being put in. War Scroll Builder, as far as I'm aware, might not be update, and definitely, obviously, the Azir app is not update right now. So it's a bit confusing because you normally would look inside a Battle Tome or you would look onto War Scroll Builder to see what was updated. You would never use the Azir app for the actual Azir parks. It's awful. But then you would... but right now, everything's a bit confusing. So that's just a quick tip for everyone at home. It's easy.
Now, can I throw out a quick, I probably none of them are actually watching this stream, but anyone who makes assets for TTS so that we can do things like that, like I'm just looking at that Moorpot. That is a beautiful, sure, we haven't used it at all this game. That is a wonderful job of importing and rendering. And that just A for effort. Thank you. Anyone who makes wonderful little assets, you're a ledge. I don't understand it.
You are a legend. Look at this amazing... I love this Tyrant. The Tyrant that came in the box set, he just looks super cool. I mean, on TTS, you can do things you can't do in real life. For instance, look at this actual flying Knight of Zeros. Like, he's genuinely flying.
Yeah, hilarious. He's also got angel wings instead of sparkly light laser wings.
Right, yeah, so we are... we've just done some combat. Not all the Noblars died, though, which is pretty amazing. But I'm pretty certain they're all they're not long for this bravery world. Ultimately,
I think they're bravery 4.
Yeah,
if they're bravery 1.
Yeah,
they must have hung around.
Right, so we're into the ogre tribe turn. Can we just talk about the pure ballsy nature? Look at Mitch, great, Stuart. Oh God. I am having a mental breakdown. Let's just talk about this. That Iron Gut, and the Tyrant General, both of them giving themselves the long bomb charge into the Vanguard Raptors.
Why?
If they get the chance, it's a chance situation. If they get it, they'll go for it. If they don't, they're just going to charge into the Azeroth.
Okay, but I guess my concern is that this Iron Guts champion, if can't leave the objective because he's currently making that objective worth 3. Either the Tyrant or the Iron Gut doesn't even need to be in combat with the Azeroth because they're worth 2 models, so they hold the objective over the Azeroth. But I would be risking it with the general for sure, but to risk it with the Iron Gut just seems needless because I'm just worried. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. I need to go have another coffee.
You protect yourself for the next turn, Dan. Again, from because look at the CP now. He's only going to generate 1 back in the next turn, so he's only going to be able to shoot or fight with a unit and not be able to do anything else. Anyway,
the Noblars retreated it out. Good on him.
There's lots to happen in this game still. It's a very, very exciting game, thanks to both players. However, there are like 20 other games happening around the field. Lumineth playing Seraphon. I imagine, unfortunately, a Storm Khorne army is playing as well. But Owen is going to let us know right now what's happening at all the other events at Hammertime 6, the world's best Age of Sigmar TTS event.
Wow. I loving the hype there, Rob. Thank you very much. Yes, so yeah, we're all we're pretty deep into round 2 now. So starting to see a few results, which is great. So yeah, first of all, just a few little fun stories from around the tables. So in Charles Hollam's in Colonel Cabbage's match, this is Nagash and the Death Riders against Gotrek and Marathi. Yes, Marathi is hunting around, and Gotrek is after Nagash. Nagash might have a 12-inch flying move or 9-inch flying move, but Gotrek's chasing after him with his little stubby legs. He's pointing at him, going, "Your skull is mine." So yeah, that's a bit of fun. Also, we saw another Soccer Sunday 12-inch yeet. So another Mega Gargant, Kraken Eater Mega Gargant, just kicked another objective, and he rolled 666, which is fun. I saw, I think that happened in Matt's game as well. So yes, they've obviously brought their kicking sandals for the day. A bit of fun happened in the game between Stephen Follow's Tzeentch Archeon against Ridge's Seraphon Fangs. Kairos did the spell, which did 6 mortal wounds and generated a spawn. That spawn then went and did 3 wounds to Croak. I think that's more wounds than I've done to Croak with fully buffed double activating Archeon. So that little spawn just powered up. Got it with his tentacles, so great. I think he rolled 333 into 333, and Croak wasn't on his Balewind. So I'm sure there's lots of non-Seraphon players who are happy about that. So yeah, that's a bit of sort of table waffle. Other than that, around the tables, I've got some results. So the first 4 results are in. So Matthew Goldsborough's Idneth Deepkin, they took out Marcus's Sons of Behemat. Victor Canovas, who's running a Slaves to Darkness Archeon, he got a 20-0 against Mathieu's Skaven. And then another Archeon got a win. So all the Archeons are doing quite well, apart from the Khorne one, but we'll not talk about that because Khorne's great. Just need a new book. But yes, Casper. So this is the really cool list with Archeon in Host Arcanum with Kairos and a Great Bray Shaman and a Sorcerer Lord. He beat Jiwan Noah Singh. He beat his Seraphon. So the Lizards are coming under some pressure from Tzeentch. So yeah, he got that 18-2. And then finally a big win here for Pitari Ukarainen. This is Pete, who has pretty much wrapped up the Butcher's Buffet tournament. He lost last night, but he's a point ahead, and there's only one person that can catch him. So Pete's gone from playing Seraphon in that tournament, and he's just got a 20-0 against Benjamin Sava's Shadowhammer Compact Daughters. So double Leviathan. Both the Leviathans were dead, but when I saw the game at the end, I think Benjamin had 5 Liberators left. And Pete had Volti, he had 9 Eels and the Eidolon. So these low model count Idneth lists still seem to be able to do the work. So that's the 4 results for round 2 that I've got. I'm going to go and let the players know that they've got an hour to go. And I'm going to hand you back to the boys who can bring you some more hot Ogre and Stormcast action. Cheers, boys.
Well, all of those games sound great. That's why I've absolutely loved doing this live coverage of our TTS and Owens and Ledge. Can't wait to get back to real life games where the TSN arena is set up to cover more than one game at once, 4 games at once, so we can see all of these joyous events. However, joyous events have happened. Some Iron Guts have charged over into this flank and murdered a Liberator, and then a Tyrant and another Iron Gut have slain the Azeros. So again, they've racked up the points there, taking a mighty lead. Dan, how do you feel about this?
I feel good. I'm very excited. However, my one biggest thing is I'm like, they're both on the left-hand side of the board there. The Tyrant and the Iron Gut champion, I get it. They move forward, so they could potentially get a long bomb into the Raptors. However, it's meant that they're both on their half of the board, which is just... which, for those who are just joining us, we're looking at a Winterbite list. Winterbite have this ability where if you're in your territory, which is the entire closer to us half of the board, you're at -1 to hit with shooting, which would go a long way to taking some of the sting out of those Vanguard Raptors. And we don't have it. And I have a feeling that's going to be the death knell for the Tyrant and the Iron Gut champion on the left-hand side.
Yeah, we've seen the priority roll for turn 4 lead into Stormcast, right?
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we've just seen.
Dearie me.
Stormcast 1 priority is what we've just seen. So they've won every priority roll so far, which every Ogre player is like, no! So they probably are going to blitz off. They've generated a CP pack. They're going to be shooting in the shooting phase with, again, that unit of Raptors. We've been talking about them all game. They have been
you went to say
unmolested, but I'm like, what other word do you use? What other word? How do you like? That's I'm not sure. Anyway,
it's fair. We're not using it in a dirty way. We're using it in they've been able to stand there and play their game.
They are there, undiddled.
Their virginal armor has had not nary a scratch nor a drop of blood added to it. Oh, and there goes the last of the left-hand Iron Guts. He's flipped on his head. He's done a little backflip, and that's him cooked.
He is smote. Is what he is.
Yes, he has been smoten. Thou shalt be smoten violently and by 9 mortal wound causing arrows. Now,
unscathed is better. Thank you. Unscathed. Yeah. Well, but basically, no one's had been. There was one charge that was able to reach out to them, and then that command ability just really showing its strength. Because really, it effectively means that this unit is either half points, or you basically get a free 510 points every one of your turns. Which every one of your turns. Which, if you do the math, is pretty significant. It's 2,500 points of shoot. What? Oh, it's 2.
So the tyrant has finally managed to get an artifact roll off, which is it increases his damage by 1 per. You roll at the start of every battle round on a 5-up. You increase his damage by 1, and it's cumulative. So the tyrant has an extra damage for all of those arrows he's about to be taking in the thorax.
Yeah,
I went to say throat and chest, and I thought, you know what? He's an insect now. He's got a thorax, and it's going to be full of crossbow bolts.
Yeah, so I was just saying that 2,500 points basically of extra shooting over the course of a 5-turn game. Significant, right? Significant, additional stuff. It does cost you a CP, but it's why this particular build is what you often not you see. So the middle objective was also the objective that's worth more points now, which is where that big unit of battle line Stormcast are in those Liberators. So it's looking pretty rough. Probably he's going to need to string that unit of Liberators out to hold 2 objectives. So it does mean he's going to get 3, and then he's going to get 5 points because he's going to get a bonus point for the other one as well because it's going to have battle line in as well. Although I'm sure you can only do it one time.
I don't think that he's going to be able to do it this turn. I think this turn he's going to get 3 because he doesn't have the output at the moment to take the Iron Guts on for the right-hand side objective. The shooting might kill the Tyrant, but there's nothing to move onto that objective and claim it. So the Stormcast are going to go 15. In the following turn, the More Tribes are going to score 2 to 3 points and go 21. This is going to come down to the wire.
It's interesting. Well, wouldn't you just charge the Nobblers in a straight line here? So you come straight down. So let's say you roll a 6, and then you just go 6 inches that way as well. Like, so you charge straight, and then you just make, which I think is what his movement is alluding to, effectively. But I don't know if he's rolled his charge roll yet. John, can we find out that?
Well, there's a shooting phase first, right? All of those silly little laser beak things have to do their business.
Okay, so the Vanguard Raptors now are shooting into the Tyrant who pour. Oh no, no, they're not shooting the Nobblers, are they? No.
I hope they do. That'd be hilarious.
We'll see who they're targeting.
I'm guessing
the Tyrant. The Tyrant who moved probably a grand total of about 8 inches all game. It's finally dead. These Raptors are responsible for huge volumes of deaths. Ogre's just full of arrows at this point. But the Liberators are now charging, and the right decision is to charge straight but sideways, if that makes sense. What did they roll? A 3-inch charge is not going to do it, and with an additional 3-inch pile-in, but it has to pile in towards the closest model, which is not that way, Dan. It's this way.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what's going to be interesting, though? The Ogres are still going to score the left-hand objective.
Yes.
It's still theirs. So the Ogres are still going to pick up 3 points this turn.
Yeah, but let's start off now. He's going to score the centre, which is the primary, so it's worth 2. Plus battle line, it's going to be 3. And he's not going to score the one on the side, so he's only going to pick up 3, bringing it back to 18 15.
To 17. Oh, yeah, to 15. And the Ogres are going to pick up 3. So at the bottom of this turn, it's going to be 21 to 15.
With it only being possible to score 7 points in total.
Now, Rob, can I float something by you?
Yeah.
If the Ogres finally win a priority into turn 5,
they just win.
They'll score another 3 no matter which is the primary objective. Which means that even though they could be, this is my favorite part of Age of Sigmar. I will always say it. It's my yes. Those who've heard me rambling garbage before will probably be aware. I love that in Age of Sigmar, you can be tabled and win the game. Like, you could be tabled on turn 3, but if your opponent hadn't scored a berry and you've scored all of them, then you're still probably going to win, even with them having 2 turns to punce around and do whatever they want, scoring objectives. We are in a position where the Ogres, with cunning play and a good bit of hungry violence, could get absolutely smoked on the board, but take home the bacon on objectives.
So we'll just find out. We heard some of the table boss there. Sorry, repeat yourself again, please. Find out again what that was. Dan, sorry, that was an unelegant end to what was a beautiful tirade, and I agree with you absolutely. It's lovely as well, and if you actually look, the dominant position right now, if you look at this game, if you walked up to a tabletop in a war game, you'd be like, wow, this is definitely unfair on those guys. Well, actually, they're winning. They're winning.
It sounds like the players are bustling it through to work out, because at the end of the day, the question becomes, I believe, about the priority into the next turn. And depending on who wins it, that would basically, it's all over bar the shouting. And I think that's what the players are working out now, to see if the Stormcast even have a chance of tickling their way into this top spot.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. We're just working out... okay, so the priority roll going into turn 5, it seems, did go to the Stormcast. It went to, not to the Stormcast, sorry, it went to the Ogres. Went to the Ogres. So the final score...
So they went to 24.
The final score is 24 to 21. So 24 to 21? Is that right? We'll see.
Well, it depends which was the primary objective as well.
Yes.
Because the Ogres score... Okay, so sorry, let's just rewind, because we're getting all caught up, right? Where we are right now is at the bottom, where the table as we look at it is the bottom of turn 4. Bottom of turn 4, the Ogres do nothing, but they score 3 points, bringing us to a score of 21 versus 15. Then the Ogres' one priority, they're not going to move. They somehow still control the objective on the left-hand side because they bled and pooped and feasted all over it on all those dead Stormcast. And because no Stormcast have come with a mop and bucket to clean up the remains of their friends, the Ogres still control the left-hand objective. The right-hand objective stays in their hands, so they score another 3, taking them up to 24, which the Stormcast, despite their most lightning bolty, liberating efforts, cannot scrape back.
We're just waiting to find out what the actual information is. So Ogres. So going into turn 5, the Ogres did win a priority going into turn 5. They took the point, which then meant they capped out on that objective, and the score ends 24-21 to the Ogres. There we go. But if you look, there's only one unit of Iron Guts left on the board, trying their hardest and living their best life. What a great game from those players, Dan. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, that was really, really cunning. I was very interested to see where things were going in that. I think the Noblars making a desperate little gamble and managing to snake in there and force that one round of shooting from the Vanguard to target them was such a clutch little play, and it pulled that moment, I think, pulled the game into the Ogre side very, very strongly. Now, let's give some credit to the Stonehorn as well. I feel like he did some decent job, not dying.
Stonehorn was vital. Like, not the output, the tankiness very much so was more the Stonehorn's job, but really it was that delivery of the 10 wounds holding an objective, the 10 bodies holding an objective. It was that delivery which really brought home the game for Mitch. He didn't win a priority at all until turn 4, and that's massive. So like it was all up against him all the time. But it was some great plays. Like you and me thought taking those Ogres, the unit of 4. Oh God.
Iron Guts.
Iron Guts, thank you so much. It's like Iron Jaws, Iron Breakers. Like, there's a lot of iron, fellas.
We're not big. There's not a lot of steel in the Mortal Realms, but there's a ton of iron.
Yeah, so much iron. Anyway, we thought those 4 were going to go in the middle and try and punch through those Liberators. Instead, he decided to move over onto the left-hand flank and then support that and secure there as well. Really, this battle plan, I'm not a huge fan of, Dan, because those battle line units, as you see, the score really races away when you're able to put those battle line units all over. Thankfully, both players fairly equally matched in that they had very survivable battle line units, and those Raptors did the work. But the Raptors showed both their strength and their weakness, because they can absolutely deliver a knockout punch to a unit or an objective somewhere on the board. However, what they cannot do is clear everything. They can't hold everything up. So, So they've just got loads of weaknesses, as well as strengths. So there was a lot of backup there. One of the things about the Liberators that we've seen in the past 2 games as well, really no output down. Yeah.
Really, interesting that we've seen Liberators in large blocks. They are the speed bump. They're so hard. They hold that spot, but they don't really punch back unless they are heavily buffed and the entire army is geared around just buffing Liberators. That's it seems to be at the moment. It's going to be the combo of Liberators forming the speed bump and the barrier, so that all of those lovely little shoot cast can be behind them, and like we saw in this game, completely untouched.
Exactly. Now there's still a lot. So 7 p.m. BST, so an hour and 15 minutes is when we've got a match. There are obviously other matches. There are other matches going on around the tournament. Normally I would say like around me, but that's not the case. Like
it's
around
so
the world.
weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah. However, there are those. You can follow those if you type in exclamation mark event and see what's happening. There's some really exciting lists. There's some really exciting matches we didn't even get to cover as well. I just heard Benjamin Sava got to play against the Double Turtle. What a great game that could have been. Yeah, like there's still the Idneth with the turtles out there to play. There's Seraphon, there's Lumineth. There's really janky, really fun, really techie Zinch lists. It's just a shame we only get to cover one more game, truthfully. But it's been a great time. Dan, Lee Bromley, it's great to see you. Dan, it's been great to commentate with you. Thank you so much. You're joining me again for the next game, right?
Absolutely can't wait. I have missed this. There's there's parts of me that are waking back up that have been dead and dormant for so long, like a hibernating moose. I don't even know if Meeson and Moosen hibernate. That's how terrible a Canadian I am. But they're still going to give me residency, I hope. So don't tell the government I know nothing about their native flora and fauna. In the chat, can I just say, Restream Bot, always good to have you in the chat. But Mr. Yes Meatballs via Restream Bot saying it's nice hearing me actually talking proper high level Sigmar play instead of just getting beaten up by people teasing me about being an elf lover. And can I say I also appreciate that as well. This is the longest this show has ever gone without bringing up the fact that I now have an elf army. And thank you for noticing that I also know what I'm talking about when it comes to war dollies a little bit as well.
Well, listen, you love elves, and there's nothing that we can change about that. However, a man who I don't think likes elves very much and definitely loves murdering them with axes and Archeon is
Best
Owen.
way to do it.
Owen's the TO for the Hammertime event, and he's an absolute babe. He does this all off his own back. And I know he wants more people to play in this event if possible. So Owen's going to jump over now, and he's going to tell us what's happening at the rest of the events happening around the event. Hey, Owen, how are you?
Hey Rob, yeah, I'm good. Well done, boys. I dropped in on your commentary, and that was a lot of fun. It is really nice to get the gang back together, right? Even if we're in different parts of the world, this is exciting. So no, it's cool. I'm down. I'm having a good time. My computer's making some funny noises, so yeah, I think the fan might be not liking me at the moment. But no, other than that, yeah, it's great. It's good. Still a lot of gaming going on. I probably need to go and remind the players that we've got 45 minutes in the round, and then a cheeky tea break, beverage break, coffee with a little bit of whiskey in it break. Hey Dan. There'll be time for a beverage of choice. So yeah, since I last spoke to you, there's a couple more results come in. Down, let's have a little look. So Michael Peterson, this is, I believe that he normally runs Lumineth Realm Lords. Let me have a quick little look. God, I've got a lot of information in front of me. Yes, Lumineth, that was versus, he got a win against Basil and his Seraphon, so Lizard's going down there. And then Chris Hernandez, who has previously run some nice Daughters Calibron lists. This time around, I believe that Chris is running he might be running Seraphon again. Let me get my notes. Lots of Chris's. Great TV as usual. Okay, yeah, he's playing against James Brown, not the James Brown, because obviously he's not with us anymore, and I'm not sure if he was into Warhammer. Yeah, exactly. Yes, he actually jumped in as a last-minute player, so got lots of props for James because he brought his Sons of Behemat and Chris Hernandez, he got the win there. So I can maybe let's do this. We're gonna have a little break in a minute. So just to let people know where sort of the table lands, a little bit of insider info, because you wouldn't normally get this at a tournament. You wouldn't be able to see the ladder. So this is the ladder as we speak. So let's do a cheeky little update of that. Yeah, so I'm yet to put in Stuart's result. I believe that was 17-3. So that's going to bump him up to 37 points, which, so he's going to be up in the top 4 there. So he'll be on 2 wins, no losses, along with Casper. Yeah, you mentioned, Rob, the sort of some really techie, interesting Zinch lists. And yeah, Casper is running one of those. He's up there with his 2 wins. Pete, as you say, got a great win against Benjamin, and he's up there with his Deepkin double Leviathan. But yeah, top of the shop is Victor Canavas, and that is an Archeon list. So maybe we'll get to see the Grandmaster for the last round, eh? That would be interesting. But obviously, that's up to our glorious leader, Rob. So talking of which, I'll pass you back there, and we'll see you for round 3.
Thank you so much, Owen. Glorious leader is a strong way of describing idiot in charge.
Look, somebody's got to be pushing the buttons, you know?
Yeah. Well, so now we're going to take a break now, which is nice because it does mean that we'll be able to look at those lists, deep dive them, and get them up for some tip-top commentary for the final game. So very excited about that. Thanks for joining us for now, Dan, Owen for organising the event, John for doing the behind-the-scenes table bossing. You guys have been great. Thanks for joining us. Join us. It's about an hour and 15 minutes, 7 p.m. BST. Is the time you want to join us for. Join us just live exactly where we are now, and we'll bring you the final game of this tournament. Don't forget, you can join us tomorrow day. Me and Owen always do the Age of Sigmar Stats Centre, so we talk about tournaments that happen all around, including this one. And then tomorrow night, we'll be talking Age of Sigmar as well, as always, every Monday night with the gang. Dan, any shout-outs before we head off for a little break?
No, but I've just the only thing I'm realizing is that this is a fantastic way to do an event. It's a lot of fun. The only thing I'm going to miss now is that I can't go amongst all the stores and spend more money at the stalls than I normally would. So I guess I'm just going to have to jump online and spend money that way, because it wouldn't be an event without me spending beyond my means on war dollies in an excited fit of passion.
I'm going to go drink a decaf tea and then read some Zinch lists. And I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for joining us and being a great crowd. Give yourselves a round of applause. Get yourself a cup of tea or a beer, whatever you want. And we'll see you guys in an hour. Take care. Fuck you, buddies.
See you, beautiful.